Don't forget to subscribe, and turn the notifications. We upload daily. And check the source of this video to view all the images and videos if there was any. Every once in a while someone slips up and we get a glimpse as to what the left is really up to. If you recall, back in 2012 Donald Trump was busy with his TV reality show The Apprentice on NBC and taking President Barack Hussein Obama to task over his questionable past. Mainly all the questions surrounding his place of birth and his birth certificate. But now Patriot Journal is reporting about a book which has been released that asks the question whether the real people who turned Donald Trump into President Donald Trump weren't the very people who today work tirelessly to bring him and his presidency down. In his new book, Obama, An Oral History, Brian Abrams poses the question not many in the media would dare ask. Surprised no one plucked this quote yet. I pushed Plouffe right after he said this. He really seemed to believe there was strategy with roasting Trump at the 2011 WHCD. Let's really lean into Trump here. That'll be good for us. pic.twitter.com/oakcur8hem trending. Michelle caught at concert with daughters teaching them gross thing to do. Brian Abrams, at Brian Abrams, July 14, 2018. David Plouffe was Obama's 2008 presidential campaign manager, and in 2011 was appointed senior advisor to the president. Isn't it awesome how the words, let's really lean into Trump here, that'll be good for us, might have ended up leading to the undoing of the whole Obama agenda. The left thought they could once again rule the narrative with their cronies in the media and it backfired. It just doesn't get any better than this, and it's surprising that the author actually included this in his book, and even more surprising that he himself had to point out the passage since the mainstream media won't do so. For years, many people speculated Donald Trump would run for office, and Obama tried to use that attention for his own benefit by trying to brand him and all his supporters as racist for asking a valid question about a president no one bothered to vet. He used Trump's name like a magical mantra in order to trigger disdain for the right and as a dog whistle, which would get Democrats to support Barack Obama even when he didn't merit any support, as he was working against America's best interests. Here is more on this book via the New York Times. Construction crews have yet to break ground on Barack Obama's presidential library, but the architects may have to add an extra wing just to handle all the books now coming out from people who once worked for the 44th president. Nearly a year and a half after Mr. Obama left office, his team is back in the arena, or at least in the bookstores, with a blitz of roughly 24 memoirs of their time in the White House, telling tales, settling scores, justifying mistakes, selling nostalgia, setting the record straight, attacking successors and spinning history. Everyone who ever spent even a few minutes with Mr. Obama, it seems, has penned a volume of reminiscences, postcards from a less head-spinning era. The authors include his top foreign policy advisors, his communications gurus, his intelligence chief, his photographer, and even the stenographer who recorded his every public utterance. All of that before the former president and First Lady weigh in with their own well-compensated autobiographies. They are all different in their own ways, but the common thread is trying to make sense of a truly crazy and contradictory era in American politics, said Dan Pfeiffer, Mr. Obama's senior advisor. How was it that our first African-American president was succeeded by someone known for racially divisive statements? In our own way, each of us wants to reflect on what we saw, what it means, and where do we go from here to finish the work started in 2008. Mr. Pfeiffer's book, Yes We Still Can: Politics in the Age of Obama, Twitter, and Trump, published last week, mixes anecdotes from years at Mr. Obama's side with observations about how politics are changing and takedowns of Fox News and President Trump. Anyone who listens to Pod Save America, the podcast he and other former Obama advisors host, will recognize the perspective. Other new memoirs recount Mr. Obama's efforts to battle foreign threats, James R. Clapper Jr.'s Facts and Fears, his rocky relations with Russia, Michael A. McFaul's From Cold War to Hot Peace, and his negotiation of the nuclear agreement with Iran, Wendy R. Sherman's Not for the Faint of Heart. Some are traditional and sober-minded, written with future historians in mind, others are funny and personal, written with future screenwriters in mind. Every presidency, of course, produces its share of memoirs. The first known memoir by someone other than a president was that of Paul Jennings, a slave whose recollections of President James Madison's White House were published in 1865. More recent years saw several archetypes. Donald T. Reagan, a White House chief of staff under President Ronald Reagan, perfected the art of the revenge memoir as he got back at Nancy Reagan for orchestrating his firing by exposing her reliance on astrology. George Stephanopoulos, the war room wonderkind who helped elect President Bill Clinton, produced the model diary of disillusionment as he described his evolution from idealistic and ambitious young aide to battered defender of a scandal-torn White House. The no-drama Obama White House offered less intrigue, and the books emerging from it seem neither as momentous nor as dishy. Moreover, the authors face the challenge of making them feel relevant given the extraordinary, norm-shattering events playing out today on cable television.